Yes, it is Friday night once again on the Boys on the Bus, and as always, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday feeling here on the bus. And as usual, tradition on this channel that if I'm on screen on a Friday night, of course he's here. He is the wise man. He is Canada's favourite Tim. He was having some techie problems, but we've overcome them, Liam. We've got past them. And how are you doing tonight, sir?
Good. Got past the techie tacky. Yeah, that's good. I was upside down. Didn't know how to get back round the way. It's the story of my life. Don't know. Yeah, happy to be here. I was on the bus last week with Terry after the post match, and it still seems like a blur. But what a weird week for football. Thank God I was busy at work.
It was honestly, I was sitting in the background for you on the old the post match, and it was a good show. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and the feedback was very good as well from the viewers. So there'll be quite a few moments of Terry and Liam doing post matches together along the way. As he's already done a few this season. It's a combination that the viewers seem to like. So that will definitely happen along the way. And speaking of matches, we've got a game to look forward to this weekend. The League Cup is back on the agenda. We are heading to Firhill for thrills. Partick Thistle and a Glasgow derby. Yes, so Glasgow derby will be pushed in that way by the media and whatnot. But yes, we've got them in the quarterfinals on Sunday, so we'll obviously be looking forward to that. And of course, I was hoping tonight to come on and we'll just talk about on-field things, just try and concentrate on that. But no, tonight there's been obviously bombshell news, and I'll get the breaking news icon up because yes. The Celtic board have decided that no, Phil, no, Liam, you shall not come on tonight and just talk about on-field and talk about the Partick Thistle game and just try and keep to that, because no, they have decided tonight to drop the financial report for 2025. And there's some number crunching to be done, and again, patronising statements that haven't quite read the room, some things in there that just... it's a bit of a slap in the face again. So we'll be talking about that. And also on the agenda tonight, we're talking about media meltdowns, because it seems that whenever Celtic get a fortunate decision now in the last few years, the whole country just goes haywire. So it's been a hell of a fallout since last Sunday. So we're talking about that, because I say it's not the first time that's happened in recent seasons. So yeah, plenty to get through tonight. And before we do that, of course, you know what to do, folks. You know how to help us out a wee bit on the channel. Do all that good stuff. Hit the old like button. Help us with the traction and the algorithm, CSC. You can help us out there. Try and get this channel spread far and wide and into more people's recommendations on YouTube. People who like Celtic and like podcasts, and we're more likely to pop up the more interactive the channel is. Of course, you can subscribe if you haven't done so yet. We're on 850 something, 840 something. We're going along pretty well. So the 1,000 isn't too far away now. It's actually just over the hill, really. So we're getting there. So you can help us out by getting closer to the magical 1,000. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. You'll be reminded when we're on the road. And of course, you can get involved in the comment section tonight. I'm sure there'll be plenty to be said about these finances. So let's see who's in tonight. Monty is here. Graham Tyrrell is here. James Kennedy is in tonight. Thomas Burns is here. Chris M. Jim C. Ali. David Scullion is also here as well. Who else have we got? We've got the Pope. The Pope is here. Look, Pope Leo. Look, Pope Leo is here. Yeah, he's in. He's loving it. He's here to talk about Celtic's finances. The Pope's even getting involved as well. There you go, man. Who else we got? We got Jimmy Six Pouches as well. 420 somewhere. I saw him. He's here as well. And Bill Ricky boy. So yes, thank you everyone for choosing us this fine Friday night. Take your seats And of course, you can also do the whole membership thing as well if you wish. $1.99 a month, again, keeps diesel in the tank, and it gets you a Celtic scarf next to your name on YouTube when you're commenting. I mean, what more could you want? Get your Celtic scarf, and continue to share the link of the new channel far and wide. If you happen to see us tweeting something about a show, then retweet it and try and spread awareness of it. And with all that said and done, Liam, we may as well just hit with the big news tonight. Celtic's finances decided to drop just about an hour before we came on there, and I knew with the way things went in the summer, I thought, well, when the finances come, because it's always the same format, comes out, all the numbers are there and whatnot, but there's always a statement from the chairman, not the non-executive chairman, from the chairman nowadays, Peter T. Lawwell, and I read through it. I skimmed through it as much as I could because it was quite a lot of gumph there and some interesting things. And one thing, Liam, to no surprise, I didn't see an apology of any kind. I did see the like, we share the frustrations with the fans about the transfer activity and whatnot, and we will learn from this. And all I could think, Liam, was a bit of deja vu.
I mean, the chat GPT is just screaming at you, isn't it? There's no sincerity. Where's the human part of it? Where's the relationship? Where's the fact that where's the point where you say you really get what the supporters are feeling and saying? You don't, because you don't talk to them. First of all, when I started reading it, I was wondering, did this actually come out of his mouth? Is there a sound bite of him saying these words? I mean, you can do it with AI easily enough now if he's that camera shy. It just seems very corporate. We keep getting we get told we're a family club. We get told that we are part of this one big institution and that, and that's just not how we talk to each other. And so it's divisive. It's building up a wall. Yep. By the way, so the accounts were 77 million. Like, we're rich. There must be a party tonight. It's got to be a party.
153% increase, 144 million roughly was the amount that's in the coppers. So summary of results, key operational. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I say it's a long statement. But winners of the SPFL Premiership and Premier Sports Cup in 24-25, participation in the group stages of the Champions League in 24-25, achieving 12 points. Qualification for the knockout phase playoff of the Champions League in 24-25, 29 home matches played at Celtic Park. Key financial items, group revenue increased by 15.2% to 143.6 million. 2024, it was 124.6 million. Operating expenses, including labour, increased by 11.1% to 117.1 million. Gain on the sale of player registrations, 31.5 million. Acquisition of player registrations is up 38.6 million. Profit before tax, 45.7 million. Profit after tax, 33.9. Year-end cash of 77.3. Then it goes into the chairman's statement. As I say, quite a lot of gumph there, a lot of just going through a lot of the usual stuff. But yeah, we recognise and share the frustration and disappointment of our supporters with respect to the timing of some of the incoming acquisitions. We will always look to improve how we operate and overcome challenges where possible. So yeah, that was the paragraph that stood out to me. But amazingly, on the website, if you go on there and click on it, there is a hidden statement as well that isn't visible on the website, because at the bottom there is an attachment that you can download. Celtic PLC annual results for year end June 30th, 2025. And when you do download that document, gives you all the numbers. It has that Peter Lawwell statement again, and it has a statement by, wait for this, Liam, Michael Nicholson. An actual statement. Words from Michael Nicholson. Can you believe it? Well, interestingly enough, in the Michael Nicholson statement, I will try and find the exact point because, it was, our objective each year is to compete in the Champions League. Well, no shit there, Sherlock. Unfortunately, this season, we suffered a loss on penalties to Kaira Almaty, which resulted in Europa League entry instead. As a board, we take responsibility for the failure to achieve that key objective and commit to improve going forward. So One, he's actually the first time I've seen any sort of we take this on board or we take accountability for it. That's a step. That's an actual step in the right direction there, Liam. But yes, they strive to improve going forward and whatnot. So again, similar to Lawwell, we share the frustrations, but we'll try and do better in the future. Nicholson, yeah, we admit we are to blame for this, but we'll do better in the future. So again, deja vu.
I mean, it's a dangerous game they're playing. You know, it's like say nothing, just wait for it to go away. You know, the fan reaction I saw on X and Twitter, that was just, people are still angry. You know, you're listening to people, and especially the people travelling support, the people more connected in Glasgow are paying out their hard money. It's easy for me being over here in Canada. But my God, yeah, you could just sense the frustration and the anger in people. I mean, $77 million we have sitting in the bank that we can spend. I mean, dollars, no dollars, pounds. That's twice as much as the rubbish dollars I get here. So, you know what you can get for that? So I just did a couple of calculations, Phil, just to put it in perspective, because I can't get my head around numbers unless I got something I can compare it to, right?
Yep.
So just did a couple of wee checks, right? And £77 million could buy you 25 original Batmobiles. You could get 4 Bankses. You could get either Rod Stewart or Elton John to perform 60 private engagements. You could probably get the 2 of them if you want to play your cards, right? What else can you get? You could set up 6,400 soup kitchens in Glasgow for 10 years.
There you go.
There's an interesting
one. Good cause. There's a good cause to put it to.
You know, that would be a great discussion to come out. It's like, okay, so you've got all this money and all that now, so where's it going to go? It's great that we have it. It'd be great if we knew a direction for the board that just said, yeah, and with all this money, here's what we want to do with it, rather than just, look, big box of money, right? Don't look anywhere. Come back next year, right? Yep. Maybe, if we have to. You know, well, I think that's the key.
I think Ali's point that I brought up on the screen there is again something that I've shared, and you hear these stories and these whispers coming out about all the haggling and negotiations and Celtic being a bit prudent with the cash. And Ali said, you're arguing over 1.5 million for a player when you've got 77 million in the bank. This board makes us sick to the back teeth. And yeah, that's the thing. Again, the Balakisha one's the best example. When initially at the start of the summer, we were getting Celtic were a bit put off by I think it was 5.5 million to 6 million they were looking for. And in the end, you know, it dragged on and on. Obviously, the last week of the window, we eventually signed them for, I believe, about 4.5 million. So when you look at that, you see what we've got in the bank, and it's like, for 1.5 million extra, you dragged it on for all of that to get it down to 4.5, and it's like, but you had all that money. It's like, what are they really achieving there? So it's like, yeah, you hear stuff like that. That's where I get frustrated as well. So I totally share what Ali's saying there, Liam.
Well, I think now would be a really good time, and like right now, it's like the PR people must be going mad, because it's just crash after crash. You know, it just mirrors everything else that's happening in the world, but, you know, we just happen to be more tuned into it, you know, with the Celtic board. I think right now they should come out and do something charitable. Just do something with that money in the name of Brother Wilfred, or, you know, with the 67 celebrations coming up, you know, the anniversary. Yeah, I'd love to see them do that. I think that would go a lot way with the fans, just to say we're doing something. Now, I did see as well today, and again, I don't know the timing of this is purpose of that, but they closed one wee superstore.
They did, store,
but
yeah, the Girl Street one's closing.
They were opening a massive big store, because we don't even we've ran out of space for all the stuff we're going to try and sell you, because we're ramping up. This is going to be a big business. It's going to be a big.
I saw that the Girl Street store. To be fair, the Girl Street store is pretty cramped when you go in there. They have been in that premises for quite a while, and it does feel very claustrophobic at times in there. But yeah, you're probably right. Just to get more space for all the extra stuff that they can sell us. But I didn't generally know about the other part. I thought that one was just closing, and it was all going to be about the main superstore outside the stadium. So they're actually got another premises opening as well. It's interesting timing. And speaking of timing, actually today, I don't know if you saw this, Liam, and for the viewers as well in the chat, but Celtic, their YouTube channel, they posted a very strategic video, I think, again, timing, talking about the brand new training facilities at Barrowfield, the mysterious training facilities at Barrowfield, which does get mentioned in the Michael Nicholson statement. But again, we don't get any sort of idea of how much this has cost, whatever. But Jerry McCulloch, your favourite person, is hosting it, Liam. Your absolute favourite.
Sure.
And he does drop a line near the start of the video about this is the most expensive project that Celtic have taken on since the stadium renovation or stadium rebuild. So in that time, since the stadium was rebuilt in the late 90s, we've obviously had the Lennoxtown training centre be built. This apparently is more expensive than the Lennoxtown one. But it's interesting that he got that line in there early on, that this is the biggest, engineering thing that Celtic have taken on money-wise. And it's like, the timing of this is interesting, especially on a day when the finances have came out as well. It's like, it's always like they're trying to just let you know. But again, they don't give you a clear indication. If they would just come out and say, we'd be keeping all this money because we're investing it in this, and this, but they don't. But I say that video dropped today, Liam. So I know you love a bit of Jerry McCulloch propaganda, so check it out at some point, Liam, when you want to.
Oh, well, this week's talking points by Jerry. It just reads straight off the sheet. There's no, he practices key words. He's got the most unusual speaking manner I've ever heard. It's like every word is strangling him, trying to get out. Like it's painful for him to speak, It's like, oh, it's worse after listening to that at 4 a.m. Does your head in.
Well, David Scullier's got a question. The hot topic. Liam, who do you hate more, Jerry or Greg Taylor?
I don't hate Greg Taylor. I was to be man, nothing but love. Jerry,
oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
I like all football players. Jerry could take a run and jump.
He can take a long walk off a short plank. That's what he can do.
Greg Taylor, he could still end up in Vancouver, and we could be the pals we were meant to be. I'll put an arm around his shoulder, show him what's what, and help him out. I played left back all my life.
There you go. You could teach him. You could tutor him. Aye, spot on. No, but yeah, I say when that video, like I was watching it on my dad, and I said that to him, I says this is very strategic that this has went up today, and at the very start of the video, Jerry's got that point in there about how expensive this has been. So see, apparently, according to him, what he's reading now is the most expensive thing that Celtic have taken on since the stadium rebuild. So I say this is more expensive than Lennoxtown, which then my question would then be, if this is a more high-tech facility and more expensive facility than Lennoxtown, but it's for the B team and the women's team, why don't because the Lennoxtown facility is fantastic in its own right. So it's like, well, shouldn't Barrowfield become the main training centre if it's now the most expensive one? But either way, it's done now anyway. It looks like it's pretty much almost finished. So but yeah, they did put that up there today, so that's interesting to know. But yeah, in terms of the finances that came in tonight, 144 million seems to be the underlying, the underlying point. So after everything that's happened in the summer, the money's just gone up again, and it just adds further to the frustration. But as I say, I came on here tonight, Liam, with the intention of, okay, we can park the off-field stuff for the time being, and we can concentrate on some on-field antics. But there you go. There's the board just giving us a Friday night. I say the Friday feeling. Don't know about that necessarily after seeing those numbers.
Can we talk about Rodgers soon?
Oh, aye, we can.
His press conference.
Rodgers, mate, I've not even seen his press conference today, so you can tell me what he said, because I know you love a Brendan Rodgers quote. So what's he said today, sir?
Honestly, so he's out now and he's getting at the big coaches' fraternity speech. So he's having a go, or what's been perceived as a slight dig at Ferguson and that wee Rangers trilogy or terror, whatever they were called. He had his wee backup Brogy Bears, right?
Oh yeah, Billy Dodson and all that. Aye, he's back.
So I think he's having a go at them for having a go at Martin and all that. But it's it just screams like us versus yous. You know what I mean? It was very much, you don't know what it's like to be a manager with a sort of pressure and that sort of thing. So he feels for it. We don't get that. So he'll explain it to us in really simple ways and that. And I think that's Rodgers just sort of softening his sort of stance as well, that at some point, well, we're done with all this stuff with the board and all that goes off. And, we don't start playing a better brand of football, given what we have right now. Even though we didn't get the best window, we still have an elite level coach, manager that needs to get better out of his players. and sort out that middle of the park. I think that is what's going to end up turning on Rodgers. I think, as I said to Terry, I says, wow, I says, that one, I says, we're like 2 seconds away from doing a completely different drive home on the bus, right? It would have went completely. I mean, I came out of that, I jumped, I punched the air and I celebrated the goal. But I hate that we had to get to that point in the game to come away with the full points. And it's great. I love the fact, we are on maximum points. We're top of the league. Goals, Hearts is right there with us. They're collapsing across the street. But I don't think that means, we take our eye off of the product on the park. It still doesn't have that rhythm. And Rodgers was talking about that, about getting the rhythm in that going. But I think he's just been watching us. I think he's ran out, he's wising up. He says, you know what, Friday night, stay in the house, Phil and Liam's on. Hopefully Johnny will be on that night. And then, I said, right, that's what I need. I need that rhythm. I need to get Callum ticking. Or maybe you just need to replace that cog and figure out what's going on as well too. But I don't know. I think he's got away with one here. I don't think there's enough talk about Rodgers right now. And the fact that he started fairly poorly as a manager, not so much in the league, but Christ's sake, watched Al Khamati the other night in the Champions League getting scudded.
Yeah, the first of 8 scuddings, I reckon that'll be. And
that was with their best player on the park. When we went to play them, they were missing 3 key players.
That's right.
A goalkeeper as well. I mean, imagine us going into missing any sort of players, like, when we miss a CCV and stuff like that. And then it's like, we feel like we're really up against it. They had 3 missing that night. And so he should have been able to change the tactics or whatever it is. So I think he still needs a lot of blame for that. And I still need Rodgers to actually show us the shape of this team and show us that, okay, well, what is it you're trying to do? Because we've seen the horseshoe of death come back, and then he's like surprised as us and doesn't know how it happens. As I've said before, he's a manager, he's a world-class manager, a football team. Surprise shouldn't be in his daily toolkit. He shouldn't be surprised by everything. He's got the best of the gear, we've got the best of training facilities, he's got the best coaches you can get, and we've got better players than mostly every other team in Scotland. So when are we going to see some of this? So I'm hoping that maybe this is enough for to redirect the fans' anger and stuff. So that's continually on the board. But the best thing Rodgers can do right now is to sort of get a team together, get a plan together, that we can see that something's happening, that this team's starting to go forward and shape and buy into something that he's prescribing. Because right now, just like Mike Nicholson and the rest of what's going on behind the board, don't hear a lot of communication from him that's actually meaningful. There's a lot of just bullshit stuff,
Yeah, but the performance last week had some worrying tropes from Brendan's first season back, and funny enough, it was a game down at Killie that we actually lost just before Christmas. Remember, we had a back-to-back. We lost to Hearts and we lost to Kilmarnock down at Rugby Park. Then Hearts beat us at Celtic Park a week later, and that was where I had an 8-point lead on Rangers at that point, and then we lost 2 games back-to-back, and then Rangers were breathing down our neck going into the Christmas New Year period. But that game against Killie 2 years ago, we were in control, and there's that word that you've used loads of times about the way we play, how you're fed up with the whole being in control thing. We should go and try and win the game first, then control it. And it always feels like we get that comfortable, and when we do concede a goal or a team decides to really start getting stuck into it, we seem shell-shocked. And I say we saw that a lot in Brendan's first season back, and sort of in the final third of that season, we got a sort of an acting gear, and we motored through and ended up winning the title. But there was a few games that season where, the last 10 minutes, if it was still close, the other team would just, up the ante a wee bit, throw more men forward. I think when Killie got their goal, I think they had 2 strikers on the park at the time. And they were very physical, obviously, Kilmarnock. I mean, they had literally 2 basketball players in their team. The size of those guys, Jesus Christ. There's one point where, was it Kobe Donovan get absolutely manhandled at one point by one of them, just grabbed him and threw him aside. And yeah, it just feels like when we lost that goal, and you and Terry said it last week on the post-match show, you felt like, God, only one team's going. We completely collapsed. We were so shell-shocked that they'd equalised, and they were dead aggressive and in our face that we were all over the gaff. And they say those type of things worry me. So I agree with you. This point you've raised a few times now about we can't just kick off a game and just be all about, oh, just pass it sideways, hold on to the ball. Because, yeah, there is an adage there that if they don't have the ball, then they can't score. That's great. But we're not doing much with the ball when we've got it. We need to be more aggressive from the get-go. And again, we've said it before, William, 12 months ago, the first half of last season, we were starting games quickly. We were in people's faces. We were the aggressors. But yeah, last week was, we got there in the end. Obviously, the penalty is what it is, and we will go on to talking about meltdowns because I said at the top of the show, there's been some wild ones in the last couple of years when Celtic get a decision, but this one in the last week's been right up there. But we did got away with it. But that few minutes before, between them scoring in the 83rd minute and us getting that penalty, squeaky bum time is putting it lightly, Liam.
I mean, that big boy was like a giraffe. He was just picking everything out the air and just getting involved. And it was all in the middle of the park. Callum McGregor was running about like his arse was trying to peel an orange. Just didn't know where he was going.
Oh, he was. And that's somebody who's definitely going to need to... he's going to have to change it up because that's a few. I mean, again, it's one of these ones where a lot of fans, I don't know if they don't want to admit it or just don't want to see it. But obviously, Callum McGregor, whatever it is going on with him right now, it's not quite working. And just because he's a captain and he came through the youth system and he's been here all this time, he shouldn't be immune from criticism. And he has a massive problem. So it does feel like every attack, because we're always playing out from the back. It's just the way that we play. It feels like everything Callum McGregor has to be involved at some point in every attack. It's not a case of we just go forward up one wing or whatever. Callum McGregor has to come and touch the ball at some point in any move that we're doing. And it's like, he doesn't need to do that all the time. It's just a case of if there's a Celtic jersey open, that's guy go to it. It does feel like, I don't know if he's himself because he's a captain and he feels like I need to go in and take responsibility here and show for it. And it's like sometimes he ends up being a detriment to us. I mean, that moment at Ibrox a few weeks ago in the last couple of minutes, that's one that went a bit under the radar. It was a terrible game of football. But remember, on like the 89th minute, on the edge of our area, he just switched off. It was just like a light bulb just getting switched off. He was just standing there with the ball, and Rangers dispossessed him. And obviously, we managed to scramble and defend it. But, oh, man, and it's like, yeah, again, it's like if you didn't, get involved in that in any way, but again, as I say, it's one of the things we'll get on to talking about later with the Partick Thistle game, because I think there's an opportunity here, obviously, with the game, to give a few of the fringe first team players, the guys who are on the bench every week, and maybe here and there they get a match day squad, maybe a chance for some of them to feature. But we'll talk about that near the end of the show. But meltdowns, let's talk about that, Liam, because it's been one of the weeks. It has been a hell of a week. The media, everyone and their granny has something to say. This is where they wheel out all sorts of opinions. We remember the one against, it was before VAR came in, but it was Ange's first season, in fact, and we beat Hearts in a game at Celtic Park around about Christmas time, and Kyogo scored a goal that was borderline offside, but the ball came in as a sort of pass across the goal, but replay showed that it might have travelled sort of forward rather than just a straight ball across the goal, and because of that, Kyogo was like marginally offside, which of course is still offside. But you remember the absolute meltdown that came from that? That was the night, because VAR wasn't here yet, but it was due the next season, I think it came in. And that's the night when Chris Boyd, again, typical Boyd, he's sitting across for Ailey Barber. I think Stan Petrov was in the studio next to him, and Petrov doesn't know where to look. He's just like, what is this guy on? And he's shouting across the table at Ailey Barber, when are we getting VAR? When are we getting VAR? And she's like, well, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't work for the SFA. I don't know. And we had Crawford Allen, who was the head of the referees at that time, which you'd be hard-pressed to even know because you never heard from the guy. Suddenly, he appears in the media doing radio interviews on BBC Scotland, talking about what a disgraceful decision it was and whatnot. But obviously, this one this week was quite an epic one. Did you happen to see the Stuart Kettlewell interview after the game on Sky where he get fact-checked live on the air, where he was ranting away about, we had a meeting at the start of the season with the referees and they told us this, blah, 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 and the reporter with the microphone in his face is like, hold on, Stuart, I've actually just got the briefing here from the SFA, the official line from them on the penalty decision today, and he read it out, and then Kettlewell's like, aye, well, backing down a wee bit. And I know in the days since then, he says, well, precedent's now been set. Good luck with that, because I remember Yang getting sent off for a high boot, which, again, we thought, well, a precedent's been set now. I've seen plenty of high boots since then and not got a red card, so I don't think Kettlewell's going to get very far with that one. But what have you made of the meltdown in the last week of everyone coming at the woodwork to have their say on it, Liam?
Okay, I mean, that's always expected. That one you were talking about with Kyogo, and I mean, that lasted a week and a half. Back then, I was walking all the time, and so I was like, I'd listen to Super Scoreboard or something when I'm out walking and that. And sometimes it's just, I'm thinking, they're going to be going crazy and that, just for the pure entertainment and all. But listen to the amount of people crawl out and agree with it and all that, and make this sound like it was like this one thing changed the entire direction of the league going. It went a different way. I mean, in the one in the weekend when Terry and I were talking about it, before I had a chance to see it, usually about 6 hours of the game, and I'm on Twitter and you see all sorts of people were slowing it down and people were showing you much better angles and all that. At first I was thinking, it's kind of harsh, only because you don't want to see them giving it against your team anytime. But when I looked at it, and I've looked at it again another time, I mean, you're jumping up like that. If your arms like that and you're in front of the goal, but you're anywhere you're becoming a barrier between the goal and what's facing you, then you're taking on a defensive position, and your arms are doing that. You're not, even if you are protecting your face, they're still out from your body, but it's also protecting an area of the goal. And I look at it that way. And then if it comes up and it hits your hand, well, it was there for a reason, whether it was balance, protection, whatever. It was still covering an area of the goal that the ball could have went in. And that's it. But the amount of media and all that going, I think they have to dig a lot harder now to try and trip us up. And so it's just getting more and more extreme. So now it's like whether you think it should be a rule or you think it's harsh, even though you think it's harsh, well, it's still a rule. And rules are meant to be harsh. That's why they're rules. It's meant to be black and white. That's why you need that contrast to say yes or no. And so, I think the media just does themselves a disservice. But then again, they get people phoning up. You get all sorts of people rabbing it in their mouth and all that. It just makes good theatre. That's all.
It definitely does. There obviously was this narrative as well that they said wasn't going in, but I don't know, man. I don't subscribe to that. I think when you see it again, it looks like it is going on target. I mean, and funny enough, Alistair Jack points this out, and again, you can also tell a lot by a player's reaction, because it was such a quick thing and in a stramash. And there is an element of sometimes players are just desperate and they will shout for anything. But Forrest was convinced right away, and James Forrest is quite a timid soul at the best of times. So to see James Forrest as animated as that, it's like, this has got to have a shout, by the way. So as soon as he's called to the screen, you're like, there's definitely a chance this is happening. And funny enough, the duality of mankind going on here, Liam, in the chat. We've got Graham Tyrrell saying never a penalty, and right after it, Wilson QW, Stonewaller. As I say, the duality of mankind.
I agree.
Yeah, it's but yeah, it's if you look at some of the mad decisions that went against us in this VAR day and age. We had the one at Tynecastle where, in a similar note, it came off of his own player and hit his arm, and that was the Alistair Johnson Wata moment where a cross came in for Hearts. Alistair Johnson went up to head it with a Hearts player. Alistair Johnson ends up heading it, and the Wata's in front of the two of them, and he's off balance, and his arm sticks out, and it's actually Johnston that heads it off the arm. And between Don Robertson and John Beaton, one was on VAR. Robertson was the ref that day. Beaton was on VAR, because obviously Brendan said some stuff after the game about it and got a wee slap in the wrist for it and a one-match suspension, if I remember right. That was the one where they decided between the two of them after reviewing it on VAR. It's still a penalty, even though the IFAB rules does say something about if it comes off of a teammate, it wouldn't be punished. But say it's happened to us, it happened to Kelly. It's the word is consistency, and don't be surprised if that similar incident, or something of that nature happens again, and this time it's a different outcome. I don't think there's any agenda. I just think the referees are just poor. There's been plenty of evidence to support that over the years. The referees just up here aren't up to scratch. Don't get me wrong, doing in England are no much better. They're professional referees down there, and they're still making mistakes with VAR and whatnot. But it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Unfortunately, I can understand Kettlewell's frustrations. At the end of the day, they were that close to getting a point, and hey, they could even beaten us. As I say, we were absolutely toiling in those last few minutes. But yeah, it's just the way it goes, unfortunately, for them. And we managed to get the win. Now, a couple of names that are getting debated just now from that game, and obviously you and Terry talked about it. But the Balakisha and Tuneti, we talk about the duality of mankind. Here's two wingers who've had a complete opposite game last week. Now, on Balakisha, I am not too harsh on his performances so far, because the context of it, the first game was at Ibrox, which is a it's a sink or swim type of fixture. We have had players make their debut at Ibrox in that fixture for us and have came through with flying colours. Other ones like Balakisha the week before were anonymous, but I say it's a tough game to be thrown in there. Last week, though, we talk about the plastic pitch. We talk about it being soaking wet as well, because remember, it was honking weather last week. And you've got a guy in Balakisha who has a bit of a sketchy injury record. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and that maybe he's not going as full pelt as he can, because we've seen players like careers end from falling awkwardly on these types of pitches. But I'd like to think, we've got a wee run now of, on grass pitches against, what we'd consider weaker opposition. So I'd like to think that, we can start to see the best of Balakisha. But I say on the opposite side, Tunekti, talk about a good first impression. The future looks bright with him. So hopefully, say Balakisha can go up the gears and Tunekti can keep that going, because there's a lot of excitement there around Tunekti, especially.
I mean, Tunekti looks like when Kuhn was playing with form. So let's see how he goes. I thought he had a very, very good debut. I love the fact that he runs at a guy and takes the ball with him. You could just see it in him. Give me the ball and I'm going to stand this guy up. Now, I said to Terry, I remember Haksabanovic doing that during his first game as well. And Louis Parma also had a very good game where I also thought, here's exactly what we've been looking for. So let's see how that goes. So he was able to do that as well on a really shitty pitch in Kilmarnock. Like the tail of the two wingers. He was able to do it, and he was able to make that work for him. I want to see what he's like on a good pitch now. What is it like when you can drag a guy and you can move? He looks quick. He looks very quick.
Yeah.
And so I like that, because other than Daizan, we don't have a lot of speed up there right now.
He was very unlucky, to score the one that McGregor just chipped it over the back line, and he came running in, and he's obviously tried to I know hindsight's one thing, and I ain't a professional footballer. I'm not going to tell the boy how to play, but obviously he just needed to sort of just stab it past the goalkeeper, but he's went to try and lift it over him, and he's kind of fallen over at the same time, and obviously it's went way over the bar, but he's unlucky there, because it was a nice wee ball from McGregor, who we were slagging off a few minutes ago, but that actually was a good moment last week from McGregor.
So if we get that sort of speed now and people can carry ball, I'm really hoping that changes our tactics. Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping that Rodgers has a plan, and this shows that, okay, show me how you're going to involve these guys. So it's just, we're not having another speedster running up a dead alley with no ideas, because we kind of get the ball to him. So it'd be interesting to see how they're practicing getting the ball to this guy all week, because he's definitely game, and how that'll free up other players as well too, and if that will actually make a difference in playing so that we actually create more scoring opportunities. I mean, that's the thing that's been really frustrating. It's no like we've got strikers that are fighting the ball and missing. We get a couple maybe a game, but I want to see us making far more opportunities than what we have lately. So hopefully this will give us a new tactic, a new out ball, and that will free up some of the other responsibilities to other players. That this might be just what we're looking for right now, that one player to bring it all together.
Aye, hopefully I've got a comment here for Alistair Jack says, Tunekti reminds him of Di Canio. That's some high praise, because Di Canio was quite the maverick. Di Canio, definitely that. I mean, obviously his his political beliefs are not quite in line with Celtic after it all came to light after he'd left us a few years. Though he was playing for Lazio, but as an entertainer, as a player, Jesus Christ, he was box office, that guy. If he could be half as good as him, it's just a shame that Celtic team with Di Canio, Cadetti, and Van Hooijdonk, and Tom as well as a front four just didn't win what they probably should have. We had an amazing attacking line, but we had a terrible defence at that point. We had Gordon Marshall in goal, so there's a good reason why I think things didn't go quite well for that team. In fact, sorry, it was Stuart Kerr that was in goal for most of that season. Gordon Marshall got a red card early in the season, and then Stuart Kerr took over, and after that, he finally stayed the goalkeeper till Jonathan Gould arrived. But that team should have definitely won a bit more, but. Yeah, I hope Tinecti, if he's got the ability of Di Canio, that's good. But I hope he's not as a hothead as Di Canio, because that's no, no, we don't want at all. We want to stay on the park. But hopefully we'll get a chance to see some more of him this coming Sunday against Partick Thistle. Because yes, we have got a.
Phil, before we do that, can I bring in some Canadian content for a wee minute?
Of course, mate, you can.
Yes. Yeah, Ali Johnson at Newcastle yesterday.
I did, mate. Aye, it's interesting, that one. After we failed to qualify for the Champions League, and yes, he is at a Champions League game, enjoying himself. Barcelona and Newcastle. I saw the picture doing the rounds, mate.
Why is he wearing a Newcastle hat?
Well,
I mean, we're always good when we see Rooney or Roy Keane or people that used to come up and watch Celtic, but they weren't wearing Celtic gear when they were with another club, were they? Anyway, maybe he's a Newcastle fan since he was a boy or something. But
one of the ones like Ryan Christie supporting Bournemouth. I
thought he'd be doing there seeing. You could go down and see Newcastle anytime. I thought he'd be doing seeing Barcelona.
Nah, glory hunter, mate. They're for a Champions League night.
No,
but it was. He's I saw the picture. A few people were obviously quite angry about it and whatnot, but. Whatever. The guy's, on his. I mean, he's injured right now, so he's fair enough if he wants to go down and watch them. Fair play, but
he did a big interview on TSN, Canadian Sports Broadcaster here this week. He was a guest on. They've got a thing called Park the Bus with Stephen Caldwell.
Right. Oh yeah, Gary Caldwell's brother. Yeah.
Aye, and the boy that played with Everton, Kildare, Kevin Kildare, something.
Kevin Kilban,
that's it.
Everton. Yeah.
Aye, and then this other guy just does the show with him. And anyway, they had Alistair Johnson on, and like on a Zoom call and that. And look, it's interesting. He's over media trained. He's too comfortable with the media. It annoys me. He's just like Canadian players are all like rah and they get fun of give 110%. And oh my God, you could just see that he's had that training and that. And, comes across as anyway, but he was saying he's way ahead of schedule. He thinks as far as his injury goes.
Well, that's good.
And it's like feeling okay in that right now, and he's just listening to the medical team. But he might be back sooner than when he left, which would be a great sign as well. I just hope he's not pushing himself. Like he doesn't have a full. Well, they're saying he has a place in the Canadian squad, but nothing's forever, right? And right now, he's pushing for a place in that. So I really hope he doesn't come back too early, because Canada will have a host of games in March. That's when he should be looking to turn to the Canadian national team, because, I mean, it's a hamstring, and he was talking about Kieran Tierney asked him if it popped, if he heard the pop, and he was saying, no, I never heard the pop, so everybody's hoping that that's a good thing. And he says, and he came off as a precaution as well, but the Celtic physios identified it right away, because he might have been able to play on, but then making it much worse. So anyway, good to hear that Ali's going to be coming back soon. But what it does, let's get into the game tomorrow, because I'm hoping we see this Cody Donovan again, who's starting to.
I was going to ask you your opinions on him, because I thought in pre-season he looked all right. I had high hopes for him, and I thought last week he played well. He got involved. Yeah, okay, some people picked up on his passing wasn't great, but he always showed for the ball. He was also getting involved, and he was very, very key in the winning goal. I think he's got a bit more pace than Ralston, which I think is one of the biggest problems with Ralston, where he's a trier and all that. We say that all the time about him, but I just don't think he's got, especially recovery pace. If we get caught in the counter. But I thought Donovan came in last week and he did okay, and hopefully, again, these boys are only going to get better the more games they get. So I think, yeah, Donovan, I think we're going to see more of him tomorrow because Ralston is in a protective boot, I do believe, and also we know that Johnson's not available. So it's a good chance for Kobe Donovan again to show us what he's got against a lower league opposition team.
Well, there was one point where he got the ball into the box, and I think it was on the goal, and he took the boy and he stretched him, and that boy was being very physical with him, and he managed to basically, he just flung him out the way like a wet trackie, just boom, and the boy was on his arse, and he was able to get that ball across. And so I like that. I like to see that okay, he's still in their box, but he's got the physicality to actually force something and not just, be pushed off the ball, that far up the park, because he was exhausted of that. No, he looks like a big unit as well. I like as well too that when there's a little bit of people get involved and all that, he's no slow to square up to any. He looks like it could be a hardy wee guy, a big guy to have a team as well. And I always think we miss that as well when teams start taking the piss. As you see, Ralston usually goes in, but Ralston gets battered and gets right back up. I think Donovan gets a wee bit in their face, and I hope he plays with a wee bit of aggression, a wee bit of attitude. That's what I like when Johnson plays. When he plays with a wee bit of, just a bit of spite in him, having words, get him in verbals early and stuff like that. I think that's when you get better out of them. And I like players that play with a wee bit of aggression, Yeah.
Oh, definitely. The thing is, well, with Donovan, that's 2 games I've seen him feature in this season where he's done a very similar move when getting forward. That because obviously against Kaidat, obviously it was a disaster of a game in the end, but there was a moment in extra time where he sort of picked up the ball near the byline and basically ran pretty much along the byline and cut it back to Nygren, who had a shot at the near post, and the keeper did pull a goose. It was one of the very few chances we actually made in the Kaidat game over the 2 legs. And of course, what happened last week as well, the balls, are pretty much on the byline, or he gets the byline, runs along it, essentially cuts it back to James Forrest, who obviously gets a shot. And and obviously it leads to the penalty. So again, it's like, he was heavily involved, and he likes that move, getting forward, getting into the box, a bit of drive, a bit of purpose, instead of an aimless cross into the box or whatnot, or passing it back the way, coming forward as a fullback and then stopping and passing it sideways, passing it back the way. He seems to be just getting in there right into the the heart of the box, essentially cutting it back. And that's 2 moments there that he's created. Obviously we've got a penalty at one of them and nearly scored against Kairat. So I like his attacking side of things. And against a team like Partick Thistle, he should not be too troubled defensively, I'd imagine. But I think the future could be bright for Donovan. He could be the sort of next one, because we don't produce many coming out of Lennoxtown, essentially out of our academy. So it would be good to finally see one come along, because it has been a wee while. And the last one that came through and probably did get a bit of game time probably is Ralston, because Ralston first debuted in 2017, had about 3 loan spells, then came back, and it was basically circumstances that he ended up getting a game under Ange, and he sort of reinvented himself essentially and established himself as a useful squad player at the very least. But we can see now that Ralston's definitely not the answer long term. So hopefully Donovan can come in and do can show us that our B team isn't just a complete waste. Because how many times, Liam, have we sat and talked about the B team and the sort of the results they have, and what is the point of the system that they play in. So let's hope that the future fight for Donovan. Now the goalkeeper one is interesting, because I've said to Terry on a previous post-match show we did, I said I would 100% give Sinisalo all the cup games, and I would even include the Europa League in that. Now that we've dropped into the Europa, I don't know if he will do that, but to me, I think Sinisalo, I mean, if Schmeichel's going to be gone at the end of this season, and Sinisalo, he's already, got a few caps for his country. So, and we've shown in the games that he's played, he's a decent keeper. We want to obviously get him as much game time as possible. So if he was to play, say, all the League Cup games and we get to the final, that's 4 games there. Then you've got 8 games in the Europa League, so that takes up to 12. And if we were to get to the Scottish Cup final as well, that'd be another 5 games. So you're getting a good whack of games out of him there, 17 at the very least, and then whatever league games he might have to come in. So again, I think we need to get this guy ticking over, because as it stands right now, unless if Brendan does indeed leave, which looks quite likely at this stage, new manager comes in and decides I want a different goalkeeper, that's the only thing I think could change it. But I think Sinisalo is enough. So for me, I'd be starting him on Sunday in goal, Liam.
I mean, it's a hard year for Sinisalo. I really wanted to see him at the beginning of the year, being given a shot. I thought he looked really impressive. I thought his distribution for the back is really good. But it's one of the things, what do you do? I mean, we've only conceded one goal, in all the games we've played so far with Schmeichel in it. He doesn't look as good distributing the ball as Sinisalo. I was looking to see, is his shoulder healed yet? And yet, I watched him on Saturday and he was whipping balls out overhand without a flinch. And so it looks like there. So it depends the agreement he has with Rodgers. Yeah. And it's like, how long do we see Kasper Schmeichel as our number one keeper? Because Sinisalo, I mean, he's got a very good career. He's done nothing wrong. He's going to be wanting, he might be wanting away in January if maybe he's not getting a game, if he feels if he's not part of the plans. So I don't know. I don't know what the communication is between Rodgers and if they have an actual plan sorted out. But you imagine Rodgers is very lazy. He does what's expected. So, this has got it written all over. Sinisalo for cup games, Schmeichel for the league and Champions League or that. And let's see how it goes. I would be surprised if it was Schmeichel. I think it's Sinisalo tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he'd be all right with Sinisalo because, as you say, we've only conceded one goal with Schmeichel and the one goal we've conceded with Sinisalo was actually a wonder goal. To be fair, you could add two goalkeepers in. That goal that boy scored for Falkirk that night, which was only a consolation in the end. But yeah, it was a wonder strike right up in the top corner. So, but we were 4-0 up at that stage, so it's not. It's not a disaster. But no, I would give Sinisalo a go. And for the rest of the back, I think this is a game again that Carter Vickers can be rested. We always talk about his injury concerns. So I think a Dane Murray coming in as the right centre back, maybe Simpson Pusey. I have a funny feeling there's going to be a story coming out about him. I've just got my spider sense is tingling on that one, Liam, that something ain't quite right on this because this boy got a few games for Man City last season. They clearly have some high hopes and earmarked him for a bright future because he has played, I think, 6 or 7 times for Man City last season. Granted, it could also be down to injury, but either way, he was deemed good enough to get a few starts for them. And they've sent him on loan to us. And I think they've probably sent him up here with a game plan of he's got to get X amount of minutes and whatnot to further his development. But it ain't happening. There was some stories again, and it's all this WhatsApp CSC stuff. You get the message that gets sent through. I heard this through whatever source.
So what have you heard?
He refused to play in a B team game, which, to be fair, can you blame him? Aye, there was that one, but it wasn't the B team league game. It's like they play in. There's like a cup competition between the lower league teams. There's only between them. The Premier League teams aren't involved. And Celtic B team and Hearts B team and Rangers B team are not involved as well. But I think it was that because we'd played Clyde in the round before, I think, and Callum Osmond had played in that game. But I think it was the next round of that cup and they were wanting him to play in that. But either way, the story is that he didn't want to play there. And I think it's, again, going by the rumours and the WhatsApp chats and all that's apparently ruffled Brendan's feathers the wrong way, and that's why Simpson Pusey isn't involved. But then again, Brendan, when he has been asked about him, has just said it's a fitness thing and just getting them up to speed. And it's like, well, how long is it going to be? And maybe it's just Brendan just again showing us that he doesn't have much of a say and didn't want this guy. And he wants to develop Dane Murray more because Dane Murray's one of our own and he's going to be here next season. Pusey's not. So maybe he's like, well, I want to use Dane Murray at every opportunity to develop that boy more than developing somebody for Manchester City. But it is quite a curious case, isn't it, really, when you look at it, Liam?
I mean, that might be it. I mean, I'm hoping that's the case. I mean, you want to see meritocracy when it shows itself. And Dane Murray, to me, has looked every bit a player to keep an eye on. I'm quite excited when we see him coming on because I think, he just looks every bit a centre half. Is just the way he attacks the ball, and I think the more he plays, the better he's going to get. I've not been overly impressed with CCV this year. He's not hit anywhere near the level that we're used to from him. I mean, he's still a tidy player because he does very few things wrong. However, we have seen those fractures already this season with a couple of times the way he's just taken the eye off the ball a wee bit and sclaffed at it rather than, connecting, turning into an opportunity for other teams to either get in and go or in one case, chip the keeper. So I don't know. I think CCV, absolutely rest him. But if Dean Murray gets a run of games because he earns it and he's looking really well out there, I'd love to see him take more prominence in the team. And if that means that's the reason that Pussy doesn't get a game, well, I'm fine with that because that means our B team or a scouting is doing its job and that we have another player coming through because we love a homegrown player. I certainly do.
Yep. Well, we were talking about Donovan there. Dane Murray's another one. Again, we're wanting to show that these guys coming from our B team can actually make it and they don't just let their contract run down and then sign for a Aston Villa reserves team. It's like we want to try and see some of these guys get, bleeding into the team. And, well, Dane Murray and Kobe Donovan are in a good position right now. Also, Ian in the chat, what a slander name this is. He's called Carter Vickers Garter Nickers. Old Garter Nickers has been making some as yet unpunished errors final season. That's what I was going to ask there, Liam. Is it a case of complacency just setting in because the player himself knows that I've done everything I can here? But again, the moves, the bids have to came in for him, and I think a lot of teams look at his injury record, and that's probably what is stopping him. Because on his day, he is a sensational centre back, and the amount of times before the injuries really started to ramp up, we were always like on tenterhooks, like the big bid's going to come in for him. He's going to go back down to England, but every season rolls on, no bids come in. So I wonder if the player himself is just kind of going through the motions now, which is obviously a dangerous thing for us when you've got a key centre-back who's going through the motions. But it could just be that, the player he's achieved everything he can achieve at Celtic, but no bids are on the table yet. But it could very well be his last season. It wouldn't surprise me if he is,
I was surprised, and we talked about this, Phil, that when they gave him a contract, it was 5 years. I thought 5 years, okay, for an aging centre-back that's... doesn't look like particularly mobile, and knowing that he's got an injury in him, I thought that was a long time. So maybe we thought he was going to have another spectacular year right away, and the injuries just got in the way, and we were hoping to get some really good money that like an EPL team, would be looking for like a really competent centre back to come in. I don't think that's going to happen now, and I think it's exactly what you said. It's the injuries. He doesn't look. I mean, he looks like he struggles when he runs, and you just see guys like that sort of shape, with a low body centre of gravity type guys. They always struggle over the years as they get older because I think they're just built differently, And he certainly is that, and he's looking like is it. But he's a daft at as being a Celtic supporter. We still only conceded one goal.
I know. Again, with outside looking in, this is why a lot of fans of other teams are like, why are you so angry? Obviously, our anger is with things off the field right now. Yeah. But you're on the field, you can't really complain.
But I think there's expectations as well. Our expectations are so much higher than other clubs because, again, we've been able to inherit, this brilliant club that are fathers and grandfathers, and well, not my father, but anyway, have handed down to us, and with that comes, we expect Celtic to be playing at their best, at free flowing attacking football, and we go in at every single game compared to win. There's no other sports team like that where you go in, well, you might win this one, you might not. No, every Celtic game I've seen us play, I fully expect us to go in with a chance to win it, and. That's why the horseshoe football and the control football and all that stuff. And I think why Rodgers rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if he truly gets us, You can say you do. And just like a lot of people profess their love for Celtic and all that, you can see a lot different opinion when you separate the real supporters for the people at profit.
No, definitely. Well, in terms of CCV, I think he just need to be managed well this season. If it is going to be his last season, I say, well, whatever's happened there. But yeah, just manage him. I think we can afford to miss this game. I think Dane Murray comes in. Liam Scales, he's inevitable at this point. It just seems so. Would be surprised if we, to be fair, in terms of our left-sided centre-back options, with Trusty not being available, and let's be honest, Brendan just doesn't seem to like Inamura, does he? You know, he's kind of made that pretty clear. So it probably will be Liam Scales starting there, and I would say, yeah, Dane Murray comes in, that's fine. Now, Liam, you need to get your magnifying glass out and the Sherlock Holmes hat on. We're going to try and solve the mystery of Paulo Bernardo. Is it time for Paulo Bernardo to get a chance here and, you know, make a mark? Because everybody is so confused as to what has this guy done wrong? Is he really that bad? Like, what's Brendan seeing in training that this guy seems to be so far down the pecking order in a team right now that has, you could probably say, 6 viable options to play in the middle of the park, maybe even 7. It's like, how can Bernardo be the 6th or 7th choice? Is he that bad? Has he done that much wrong? It is a very, very strange one. And he did feature against Livingston. I think he started that game and he came off the bench against somebody early today. I think maybe Falkirk and
Aberdeen, maybe. Aberdeen.
No, it was a home game. It was definitely at home, but it was only for like 15 minutes at the end of the game. But look, McCown's obviously had a bit more game time than him. Obviously, Negrins came in, and he's obviously been a pretty regular in the first team to the expense of Engels as well. But you can point at so many people in the midfield who just seem to be off it. Negrin started the season pretty well, but was absolutely abysmal against Kilmarnock. Like, he was terrible. Hitati, again, a decent enough start to the season, good goal up at Aberdeen. But the last couple of games, it's just looked really clumsy again. It's that whole thing I keep saying about Hitati, where he's trying to play the game at a different pace from everybody around him. He's always looking for that quick release of the ball, but everybody else isn't reading that. So all it results in is he just gives the ball away, just pings it right out, you know, for a throw in or whatever. And the midfield just seems like the balance is all wrong. But is this an example, Liam, of the less Paulo Bernardo plays, the better he becomes in the fans' mind? Or are we quite right point to? Because the one that a lot of fans point to is, remember the mystery of Marian Shved, who barely played, but the longer he didn't feature, the better he got in a lot of fans' minds, even though we didn't have, in Shved's case, we didn't have much evidence to support it. It was just one of these weird things that the longer he didn't play, the better he became in most fans' eyes. But with Bernardo, we've seen enough of Bernardo in the last couple of years to say, surely he can't be any worse than some of the performances we've seen so far. So I'd like to think that Paulo Bernardo features in some way on Sunday.
I hope so. I mean, Rodgers got this really bad habit of losing players down the back of the couch every now and again, where they just no idea where they've went, and neither do the fans. I mean, because again, you're looking at this and you're looking at it with your eyes. You've seen what he has coming on, and then we've got the proverbial ubiquity as well. He's a Portuguese under-23 captain. That should, or under-21 captain. I mean, that should get him a game right away. Being Portuguese and that. No. It's, I don't know, like, if you look at last year, Rodgers, he also didn't play him late. He played David Turnbull for league games at one point, and he had Bernardo.
That was at the expense of Rio Hitati. That was at his first season back. Rio Hitati was barely featuring, and he was off the back of a red hot season under Ange, and it was David Turnbull that was getting games. Yeah,
right. I know. I don't know if Rodgers knows what his best midfield is. I thought the other one, Negrum started really well, but I've watched him lately, and I think that's a player that maybe Celtic's just too much for him right now. And I mean that in a way where I think he's a bit too overconfident with his approach to Celtic, And I was saying that as well with the first couple of games when he was doing okay. I says, keep it going, keep the passion. But, all this stuff with the fans and all that, give that a miss.
Yeah, delivers a terrible corner after he does it as well.
And now you're seeing him as well too. There's a lot of times where he'll get the ball on the edge, and his player's open, and his passes on, and he'll try that one dribble, but it's a daft dribble, and he gets caught out, and it changes. And I've seen that happen a couple of times, and that comes from just believing your own hype. So I don't know. I think that boy needs a wee bit more humility. So put him on the bench. And let's see what Paulo Bernardo can do. I'd love to see Paulo Bernardo get a more significant run in the team than what he has. And then same with Luke McCowan as well. Luke McCowan's another one I think's played really well. I mean, Brendan Rodgers got no shortage of midfielders. You've got
we've got
loads of
options
them there, but there is a reluctance to tinker and to fine tune and to see what actually works. And a lot of that is because he has absolutely no will to drop Callum McGregor.
Callum McGregor. Well, the comment I've got up there from Chris M says, Phil, do a poll. Who should play if we rest Calmac, Engels or Bernardo? I don't think I need to put a poll up, but I'm reading some of the comments and Bernardo's name's featuring a lot. I'm not seeing much mentions of Arne Engels at all. I think people are just like, what is going on with Bernardo? We're all just really confused, especially because we chased him for so long that summer after the loan spell initially. Typical Celtic, I guess we dragged it out just a little bit, try to haggle. But yeah, we finally got a man, and then he's just not really. He's just kind of no featured since Engels came in. Because he started last season, he was playing for consistently for the first couple of months, but once Engels had came in, he just sort of moved to the side. Then he had an injury as well, just after the turn of the year, and he's just not really been able to get back into it. So in terms of the midfield, he needs to get something that's really, really clicks, because again, it just feels like that is a massive problem in our team right now, is just how slowly we move the ball and misplaced passes, and as I keep saying as well, it feels like at times they're playing right on top of each other. They don't spread the play as well. So I'd like to think that we, as you rightly say, the amount of options that he's got in midfield, he can find something that works. But I think again, a Partick Thistle Cup game, this is a good opportunity for like a Bernardo or a Luke McCowan starting, or an Arne Engels to come back in and try and get himself, because Engels played against Falkirk and was brilliant against Falkirk. He actually played really, really well. He's dead unlucky not to score a ridiculous free kick from out wide as well. An absolutely fantastic free kick that he took. Whereas one of these ones where he's lining it up, even though it's out wide, you're like, he might shoot here, by the way, but he was dead unlucky not to score it. But yeah, the midfield's going to be an interesting one. That's definitely the most mystery around it. I would rest McGregor, because again, with the Belgrade game coming up on Wednesday, that's obviously going to be important, because at the end of the day, all of us might not like that we're in the Europa League, but this is the hand we have been dealt. So I guess we need to try and do our best in it, because coefficient points are going to matter in the years to come, because it will only get harder to get in the Champions League. So we need to try and put up a half-decent performance in whatever European competition we're in. So I would be looking at resting guys like Callum McGregor and, who we mentioned earlier on, Carl Vickers. So I think Bernardo, McCowan, and maybe even Engels is the midfield three on Sunday. I think, I don't see much risk there. It's not one of these things it's like, that's too many changes. So no, but I think that's a comfortable enough midfield to deal with it. And then the forwards. Now, this is interesting because obviously last week we had Ian Atchell make his debut, came off the bench, scored the penalty in the last minute. I think it's a prime opportunity to get some minutes in the legs by starting them. But again, I don't know how Brendan's going to approach this one, because the boy hasn't had much of a pre-season. So it might be a case of he's still on the bench, but then who would start through the middle? Would it be Johnny Kenny? Would it be Shin Yamada? Because I feel like Daizan's going to probably be rested for this one as well, because again, he'll have an eye on Wednesday night. And I feel like it's one of these games that he's going to keep Maeda to play through the middle on Wednesday. Because we're going to be the away team on Wednesday night in Belgrade. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere. We're going to have to rely on a bit of counter-attack football, and I think he's going to save Maeda to keep him as fresh as possible for that. So I would like to think that Ian Atchell will start, or definitely feature at the very least on Sunday. But what about yourself, Liam? What do you think for that centre-forward position?
I don't know. I still don't know who we have as centre-forwards. I've not seen enough of Kenny or Yamada to get excited about either one of them. I'm excited about just for the novelty that I haven't seen them before, and it's something new and it's something different. That part's always good when you're watching a game, but yeah, I wish there was one of the two of them I could sort of say, I really like something that they do, and I don't have any of that. I don't know what different they'll bring to the team other than just trying to get noticed by doing something exceptional that basically nobody's seen them do yet. So I'd like to see, it's funny, Simpson Pussy's no up to speed, but we can throw an Achero and an Nacho and right away.
Yeah.
He's not had a pre-season. This guy's had one with Man City.
Yep.
You know what? Yeah, he's. Let's throw him in. Let's get his confidence up. Let's see what we got. And if he can bang a couple of goals, he's going to have good opposition for him to sort of give a wee bit of a flex. You know, the reaction time of the, you know, Partick Thistles aren't going to be SPL level or EPL or La Liga or whatever he was in right then. And so, yeah, this is a good chance for him to get out there and I think build his confidence. And I think a striker like that, if he can get in there more, he can score a couple of quick goals, get him off, put Maeda on, or just replace him with Kenny or Yamada, and we'll see what else that we got. I'd enjoy seeing that, especially if we win this one comfortably too. So, yeah. And then as far as the wingers go, yeah, let's see what the new boy has to offer. Tunetke, definitely excited to see him again and see what it will be like on a good pitch with better playing conditions. Will we see even more tricks? Will we see even more a direct approach? And then now that Balikwisha's up to speed a wee bit and he's seen what the expectations are at Celtic, let's see if he can manage to up his game now to perform where we are. And if he can't, that tells you a lot about the boy. I know it's early.
Aye.
But okay, this is where we should be seeing that you've got a better grasp. You've been with the club a few weeks now. You've trained, you've played a couple of games, you've seen what our expectations is as a fan base, seen the way this team's playing, and you've seen another boy come out and show you how a debut is done. Right, what can you do?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a great opportunity for them again. I mean, don't get me wrong, Partick Thistle will obviously give it their all and try and make it as awkward for us as they can, but realistically, we should be able to, brush them aside. Before we do our predictions on it, before we close out the show, this is quite an infamous fixture in League Cup history. Liam, Partick Thistle v Celtic. Do you know why this is an infamous one? It's a famous one for Partick Thistle, but it's an infamous one for Celtic.
Oh, what is this? No.
The 1970 League Cup final, Celtic lost 4-1, I believe, to the Partick Thistle. My dad told me the story years ago. Him and his mates turned up late for the game, a bit drunk, came in. What's the score, mate? 3-0 to Partick Thistle, and they about turned and they left. Right there. Thistle were 3-0 up at that point. Funny enough, somebody who scored in that final, Jimmy Bone, passed away recently. Partick Thistle legend. He was one of the goal scorers that day.
Jimmy Bone played with I think he was the Toronto Blizzard at one point as well.
So played in Toronto as well. But it was only recently. But I think it was on the news because also we drew Partick Thistle and it was mentioned then the story of Jimmy Bone passed away. But yeah, hopefully no repeats of that one. But yeah, it is literally the only major honour that Partick Thistle have won up to now, 1970 League Cup final. But yeah, they beat Celtic 4-1. So yeah, please, none of that again. None of that nonsense. In fact, there you go, Sligo boys tell us it was 4-0 at half-time to Partick Thistle in that game. So my dad and his mates turned up late and it was 3-0 at that point. They couldn't believe it. They were just like, oh, way back to the pub. So off they popped. But yeah, it was... So I'd say the most infamous game in Celtic and Partick Thistle fixtures, or from our point of view, but the most famous one for them. So I say hopefully none of that happens. But yeah, predictions then for Sunday, Liam. How do you think it's going to go?
I need the world to come together, and we need to heal this week. And we're going to heal. How are we going to heal? We're going to heal by scoring 5 goals, 5-0 for the Hoops, and then everything will be sunny. Mike Nicholson will find his voice. We'll open the checkbook. Maybe we'll give some money to the poor with all the money that we've saved up. Who knows? But it's going to be glorious. There's going to be sunshine. There's going to be 5 goals.
Well, San Fran Celtic also says 5-0 to the good guys. Patrick McLaughlin saying 4. Oh, he said about the Partick Thistle game years ago, it was 4-0 after 32 minutes. Yeah, mental. 3-0 to the Hoops. Ali says 4-0. Yeah, so it's looking pretty comprehensive. Yeah, I'll go along. Yeah, Celtic victory. Again, it's a cup game. It's all about just getting into the next round and booking a place at Hampden for the semi-final. Before we go as well, just a wee quick nod. How do you think the heavyweight clash on Saturday night will go for our enemy across the city? Because they've got a tricky one against Hibs. How do you think they'll go? Just quickly.
I think they're emotionally battered right now. I can't see them winning. I think
all the swimming they've been doing, all the swimming, mate.
No. Wild women. No, wild swimming. No Benny Hill joke. I think they'll get beat. I don't think they're in a good place right now at all. And it'll just be carnage. I mean, it certainly is fun to watch and all that. It pulls away from some of the problems we have, but my God, you think you've got problems and you just see what's going on there.
So
God.
I said that. I said that. A few people said that. My dad on the Rodgers. I don't think I've ever known a time when Hibs could be coming through to Glasgow for a game and probably be the favourites. And it's like, but this is Hibs we're talking about, and the term Hibs that does have meaning. But my God, if David Gray and his team walk away for that, having no done it with the state they're in, then Jesus Christ, they will not get a better opportunity. But yeah, we'll see how they get on Saturday night. We've got our game on Sunday. As long as we do our bit, get through the semi-final, that's all that matters. So yeah, we will head off now, guys. That's been an hour and 14 minutes. Thanks again for joining us. And the post-match, Terry will be along on Sunday for that, around about a similar time that we had last Sunday as well, because it was a 3:30 kickoff at Firhill on Sunday. So yeah, he'll be along for that one. I think Conor might be joining him as well. Like, it'll be an explosive one. So Conor's said that he'll step forward and jump on for that. So hopefully a good positive result for them to talk about. And yeah, because now up until Christmas we've got midweek games, there'll be more reason to do TIC Talking episodes through the week, because we'll have games to look forward to. I think there's only one midweek between now and Christmas where Celtic won't have a game, and obviously international breaks will still come along. But yeah, we've got a busy schedule going forward now. Midweek games galore coming up. So yeah, we can have more content to put out. But yes, this has been our Friday Feeling show, and we're heading off now, folks. So enjoy your Saturday, enjoy the game on Sunday, and come back for the post-match show with Terry and Conor, and we shall catch you then. Hit the like button on the way out, and yeah, all the best, and hail, hail, mon the hoops.
Cheerio.